let's go into the PlayStation 4 Pro and kind of what that means for society or whatever. And so this is exclusively talking about the 1080p experience. I do not have a 4K TV. I probably will not for a very long time. I just don't see the reason. But that being said, I'm a big PC gaming person, human, and I want games to look better. I want them to look the best they can be. And to be quite honest, let's talk about what hasn't changed. A game that isn't updated at all. So I pop in Bloodborne. Bloodborne looks good, but Bloodborne does not look that good. And it shows. It shows. This is something that could radically benefit from the Pro. Case in point here is I played The Last of Us Remastered, and I played it earlier this year, the whole way through. And it looks good, but at the time I was like, it could look better. Honestly. And look, I mean, Horizon looks phenomenal. But The Last of Us on PlayStation Pro at 60 frames per second, which we'll get into in a minute, is running at 1800p, downscaled to 1080. The game looks good. The game looks really good. Now, is some of it in my head? Maybe. Maybe. The game looks phenomenal like that. Even on a 1080p display, it's so sharp and crisp. I love it. It looks beautiful. Beautiful. So there's that. Now, there have been some kind of issues, and this is known on the internet now, that it doesn't necessarily hit a solid 60 at that resolution and all that. So that's kind of a bummer, but it doesn't really dip that far. Maybe it'll dip to 50, which isn't that bad. It is noticeable because it was fairly rock solid 60 when I was going through it before, but not a huge, I think in terms of trade-off, I'd rather play the game with a little bit of hitches that looks way better than the other way around. Now, there is something to bring up specifically with The Last of Us, was I noticed this weird render quality thing it did with things in the shadows. So when I was playing The Last of Us Remastered a couple months ago, you look at things in the shadows and then you turn your flashlight on and they'd sharpen up. And you could see things on the side that weren't in the flashlight and they looked blurry and out of focus. They don't now. I don't know what that is in relation to or why, but it looks so much better. And that is one difference that I know is different. That was something I saw throughout the entire adventure that is now changed. Now this is... Boop, boop, boop. This is moved. There we go. And I think it just looks a lot better. So I'm very pleased about that. Now, does it make games that aren't compatible run better? The answer is no. The answer is 100% no, because, as I said, I played Bloodborne on it. It doesn't, it has the same, if not, I mean, like, no improvement at all on any hiccups or whatever. It is the same game. Performance-wise, it's the same game. And I played a lot of Bloodborne, but maybe it loads faster, maybe it doesn't. It could just be psychosomatic at this point. So there's that. Another thing that I think is a big improvement is the OS. It runs so much faster. Yeah, I'd liken it to the 3DS, to the new 3DS. That's how much better the PlayStation 4 OS runs now. It's just faster. It's quicker, you're sliding things around, you're going into menus, and it's popping. It's there, it's with you. I love that. I'm totally on board with that. That's great. Other things that are great. What else did I play? Oh, Uncharted 4. Now, Uncharted 4 is at 1440p, scaled down to 1080 on a 1080 display. And it's kind of hard to say how much better it looks, because the game already looked incredible. All I can say is that now it looks as best as it can, and it's probably the best looking game. It's definitely the best looking game on a console. Maybe even like on PC, who knows, without doing crazy mods and like super crazy stuff. Like This is incredible. Uncharted 4 looks phenomenal. It runs perfectly. I played about an hour of Uncharted 4 to kind of test it out, see what's up with it. It runs beautifully, plays beautifully, no change. It looks great. I did some comparison of my own footage that I captured months ago. That was just 1080p versus this downsampled 1440 to 1080. And it looks good. Does it look better? I think so. I think it does. Just a little sharper. Just a little bit sharper all around. And that's enough for me, quite honestly. That and stuff like Horizon looking better and having more effects and stuff is enough for me. That is enough for me. As someone who plays everything on PC that's multi-platform, that is enough for me. To bring these PlayStation 4 games into what I can see on my PC, closer or better maybe, that is enough for me. That is 100% enough for me. That is the selling point, and I'm pleased about that. I also played Infamous. First Light? Yeah, First Light. And I didn't play it before, but it does look really good. There was a mode for like stabilized resolution or stabilized frame rate versus max resolution, and I toggle it, but I couldn't really tell much of a difference. So it is kind of a game by game basis, and that is the problem with this, is that it is on developers to make the game better. There is a big problem in there too. They're focusing so much on 4K, and there are games like I think Battlefield or at least Call of Duty, I think, that have these 4K, and you're like, oh, you can play the game in 4K or 4K. But for 1080p, there's no improvements for you. And that's the problem. This should be targeted at both consumers, because the idea that I could play the new Call of Duty at 1440p scaled down, as I already said, is enough for me. That is going to make the game look better. 100%, it's going to look sharper if you do that. So I'm there. I'm totally there for that. If you can give me a more solid frame rate because of that, yes, that's what stuff like Battlefield 1 looks to have kind of taken advantage of. Just using that horsepower a little bit to give me some advantages. That's all I need. But it needs to have more advantages for 1080p. And the fact that Sony's kind of just not even mentioned that this is happening, it feels like it's very, here's a pro, whee, here you go, is a little concerning. That being said, I'm still on board for stuff like Horizon having exclusive stuff. It just looks better. I don't care what you say. That footage they showed, which was just 1080p footage of Horizon when they revealed this, looks incredible and so much better than the game looked. And stuff like The Last of Us does look better. It looks remarkably better. I mean, I put that in, I was like, this is not the game I played. Everything is so sharp. You can look at characters' faces and walls and stuff. It's just so sharp. It's super anti-aliasing, and if you're a super dumb PC gaming nerd like me, you want that. You 100% want that. If you don't relate to any of this and you don't understand it at all, this isn't for you. This is not for you at all, because I turned on Bloodborne and I was like, damn, I wish this was a pro game, because it would look sharper, it would look cleaner. That's all I want. Just run the game at a higher resolution and shrink it down, and it would have looked beautiful. And it could still come. Bloodborne 2 is my hope. So far, I think I have a couple more notes somewhere here. One thing I was surprised by, actually, was the light on the controller. So the controller is different, and it's got a little light. It has the light in the front and has the light on it. So in The Last of Us, when you go into your little hearing, listening mode, the light changes, and I liked that. I liked being able to see the light there as opposed to on the front, which I never really could see it unless it was in the reflection on my TV. But having the light there, I was able to see in my periphery the change. That's cool. I like that. Now that's just a normal new controller. You can just buy that. Another difference here, the noise. Oh yeah. Oh my god. So if you played Uncharted 4, or really any game, let's just say any game on PS4, it sounds like it is trying to launch into space, or maybe it could explode at any moment. It is very loud. It is very, 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 very loud. system. The Pro is very quiet, very, very quiet. There's if you've played enough PlayStation games, you know there's kind of a, or just games in general, you know there's a setting for, like, this is the fan on, and this is the fan super on. I haven't heard anything even close to the super loud fan at all. I would say it's, for the most part, the loudest I've heard it is half as loud as I've heard the PS4, which is awesome and perfect and exactly what I wanted because it's so goddamn loud. That being said, these aren't exactly amazing things to be super excited for in a system. It is for me because I do want that resolution bump. I do want things to be just a little sharper if I can. The idea that I could play The Last Guardian at 4K or at whatever shrunk down is going to make it look so much better. So much better. And even if I can't see the difference, that's the thing. I've drunk too much Kool-Aid. Even if I can't see the difference, the fact that I know I'm playing the best possible version of this, it's kind of enough for me. I kind of like that. I don't like knowing that I'm missing out on features or sharpness, especially sharpness. Because I've been playing Red Dead, and good God, that game could use some downscaling, super sampling shit we're doing here. It really could. It would look so much better. But anyway, the Pro is for PC gamers, I would say. That's what it's for. It's for someone who played any game on PS4 and was like, this could look better. Which, by all accounts, isn't a lot of people. You know, and the games do look really good. Like Uncharted 4 already looked incredible. Now it's just that little bit more. I don't know what this means, but just a little bit more of one of the best looking games ever made. Now, should you buy it? Maybe. Maybe. If you have a 4K TV, if you have an HDR compatible TV, I would say yeah, for sure. There's really no reason not to. Like, you're just gonna get, it's gonna look great. It's gonna look great. Now, some people might argue that a downsampled 4K image onto a 1080p screen isn't gonna look as good. Sure, maybe it doesn't look as good, but it looks better than the normal one. And also, I'm not spending $1,000 on a TV, so shut up. Maybe in 2 years. That's the problem with it. This focus on 4K really, really is the problem. It shouldn't be so focused on 4K. It really needs to be split. Like Sony should have come down and said, you need to have a 1080p option that improves games and a 4K option that improves games. And the fact that a lot of these games are saying like, oh yeah, there's a 4K mode, you can do this and that. But what about 1080p? Why can't you just downsample it? Like, just do that for me. Like, no, it's just for 4K stuff. I'm like, really? I don't even know if that's true. Because that's another thing. Stuff like Uncharted didn't have, it's like, oh, we patched it in. Well, what does it do? Well, I don't know. We didn't have details on that for days. Until after it came out. Until after the Pro came out, we didn't have details of what that patch did and what your resolution changes were. It's like, that's some shit. Like, there needs to be a lot more transparency. I looked at a list of what do they do for Titanfall 2? Oh, some stuff. It's like, okay, well, it'll run better. I'm like, that's not a detail. Like, I need to know exactly what am I getting, the 4K TV, the 1080p TV. I need to know explicitly. That being said, this is obviously going to be for every Sony game, and that's awesome. That is perfect, flawless, do it. The Sony has always had some of the best looking exclusive games. I mean, Uncharted has been around for a while now, and God of War has always been a powerhouse too. And now they're going to look even better. I think I did drink too much Kool-Aid with this. It's possible. It's possible. Why is it graphics enhanced and not enhanced graphics? That's weird. Not enough about this. Look at that. I mean, look, there's so much detail in this. Out of control.